After a very long wait, the Tesla Cybertruck has finally been unveiled. My name is Thomas and welcome to my channel, and also the first ever episode of Let's Torque About It. Get it? Because we're going to be talking about cars, and cars have torque, and torque sounds like talk, and oh my goodness. In this video, we're gonna go over everything we currently know about the Tesla Cybertruck. If you're new here, feel free to subscribe, because once we hit 100,000 subscribers, I'm gonna be shaving my lid for a kid and also raising money for a cause as well. So if you wanna see this head completely bald, then feel free to subscribe to join our small but growing family. Now let's get right into the information. To start off with, here's everything we know from the live Tesla Cybertruck unveil. I want to start by talking about the inspiration and what inspired this Tesla Cybertruck, because they actually didn't do that at the show. They skipped over that slide because Elon got on stage, and I love that guy to death.
I love you guys too.
Elon is hilarious, but he's human like the rest of us and he makes mistakes, and he just jumped right into talking about the dimensions and skipped over the planned inspiration slide they had. So he kind of stumbled back on his words. They showed the slide for a split second and then he moved right on to dimensions.
So we'll start off with the size, the dimensions, and the inspiration.
So I want to go over what I think they were going to say, but they missed it at the show. Here's a frame of the inspiration slide that they skipped over. One of the images there is of a Nighthawk stealth fighter jet, and I'm sure that Elon would have gone on to explain how that ties into three separate things: the design, the performance, and the build quality. As the Nighthawk is a military vehicle, it has to be built very well, designed very well, and perform very well. And the other image is of the James Bond submarine car.
Can you swim?
This car can actually be found in some other Teslas as an Easter egg if you go through the right steps.
If you enter 007.
And I think that it's cool that they try to tie that all back in, but I don't really see the resemblance, maybe the futuristic aspect, but apart from that, I cannot see how he would tie those two in. And then on the right hand side, there is an image of very flat and edgy architecture. I'm sure this would have been solely for the design of the truck, but underneath that is an image of a Navy battleship. This one obviously also ties into the design, but I'm sure that Elon would have also tied this into how tough the Cybertruck is supposed to be, but we'll get into that in a second. Next up is the dimensions. The length is 231.7 inches, the width is 79.8 inches, and the height is 75 inches. Just for reference, I'm about 6'4". That means that that truck is 1 inch shorter than me, sitting at 6'3" off the ground. The bed is 6.5 feet and has 100 cubic feet of room and lets you fit 3,500 pounds of payload in the back. Apparently it can tow 14,000 pounds and can pull an infinity amount. And what I think they mean by that is similar to what Ford meant when they released their electric demo F-150 ad, where they had an electric F-150 tied up to a train that weighed over 1 million pounds and towed it down the lines. Technically, you can't tow that on the road, but it did pull it. Quite astonishingly, the 0 to 60 time is 2.9 seconds, which is mind-boggling, and the quarter mile time is 10 seconds, which is around the same time as a Bugatti Chiron and Lamborghini Huracan. That's unbelievable for a truck. At the live unveil, they even had a video of the actual truck that was on stage put up against a brand new Porsche, and they basically raced it in a straight line, and guess who won? The truck. Next, I want to talk about what Elon Musk called the exoskeleton of the Cybertruck. Essentially, it's just ultra hard 30 times cold rolled stainless steel. It is just one big piece of metal, and that's going to be a pain to work on if you get into an accident or have a crash or somehow damage it. But they thought about that because this thing is virtually impenetrable and almost invincible. Not only did they hit it with a sledgehammer after hitting an F-150 door on stage, it dented the F-150 door but not the Cybertruck door, but also obviously they didn't do this at the show. They shot it with a 9mm, and that obviously went right through the thin aluminum doors of the F-150, and I'm sure that it would go through the door of a Dodge Ram as well. However, it didn't go through the door of the Cybertruck. It just kind of makes a dent, and that's about that. After that demo went very well on stage, Elon then moved on to the glass.
Oh my.
Yep, that didn't go so well. Elon started off by giving it a couple nicknames. He started off calling the glass transparent metal, sounds very tough, and then he called it armor glass. All very good things. and then they decided to demo it. At first, things are going fantastic. They showed the normal glass of a truck and it shattered straight away from a lightweight ball just being dropped from a couple feet. Then they did the same thing on the Tesla armor glass. They progressively moved the ball higher and made it heavier and nothing happened. They then decided to take the same ball and throw it at the Cybertruck, which, in foresight, maybe not the best idea. It broke. Twice. And I have a theory as to why it broke on the truck but didn't break during the demo on the side. If you look closely at the video, when the platform of glass is on the side and it's being clamped in and they're dropping it from really high up, you'd think that that would do more damage because gravity is accelerating it and it just looks like it would deal a lot more damage. But if you really look closely, you'll notice that there are clamps on the side, and when the ball hits the center of the glass, the clamps pop up. So what's happening is the glass is very good at transferring that energy through the clamps, popping them up, and then the glass is fine. When you put it inside the truck, you are now having it solid and rigid inside of the door of the truck, so it has nowhere to transfer that energy through wobbling and through the movement. I'm sure a scientist could explain this much better than I could. And because it's held in there so tight that when he threw the ball at the window, there was nowhere for that energy to go, so it just shattered. But I think that glass is still better than your standard glass that you'd find on a Dodge Ram, Chevy, Ford F-150, or whatever it may be. It obviously holds up better, but just not the expectation that they'd set. Fortunately though, I don't know if it was a replacement vehicle or if they just changed the glass really quickly, but they did fix it later on when they were giving the people that were there test drives. But the awkward part is that because they did that so early on in the show to grab everyone's attention, he then had to do the rest of the show with 2 shattered panes of glass behind him. However, after the show, Elon released a slow motion video of what happened before the show when they threw the same metal ball at the same window. He then went on to explain that the fact that it broke on stage is because they hit it with a hammer first that weakened the glass, and then throwing the ball at it finished it off. I am calling BS on this one, as the back window broke as well and they didn't hit that door with the hammer. Anyway, moving on from that mishap, Elon, I'm not going to bug you about that anymore. I want to move on to some other things like the front trunk, or what I like to call for short, the frunk, because obviously there's no engine. This is a fully electric truck, so now you can put your baggage in the front, whether it be your backpack or groceries or whatever it may be. Elon has also confirmed that there will be a matte black version. The Tesla Cybertruck also has a very impressive adaptive air suspension. Essentially, this suspension is self-leveling and you can change it on the go. You don't even have to be pulled over at the side of the road to go up or down. You can do it on the fly as well, which is really cool. Now, at the end of the show, they unveiled an electric ATV quad that they had. They put that onto the back, and not only could you charge the quad in the back, but also, if you noticed at the beginning, it was very tilted backwards, and then it self-leveled itself after a few seconds. Quick side note, I want one of those ATVs so bad. I would love to know some more information on that, but all they did was show us. There's no price, there's no release date, nothing when it comes to the quad. But also, to get the quad up, obviously you need some sort of ramp. They had a ramp built in to the bed. I think that is the coolest thing ever. You take down the tailgate and it slides right out the back and you can throw your quad on there. Genius idea. That goes really well with the design. But back to the adaptive air suspension. With this suspension system, you can ride 16 inches off the ground. That's a lot of ground clearance. Not only that, but you have a 35-degree approach angle and 28-degree departure angle. That is the best on any truck, even beating the Raptor. One of the other cool additions they made to the Cybertruck was putting an onboard air compressor. On top of that, and you could probably have guessed this, there are plenty of autopilot systems. They include the full self-driving, auto park, as well as trailer docking. The autopilot as well as the adaptive air suspension system are both standard features on even the cheapest model of the Cybertruck. The only thing to note is the full self-driving ability from the autopilot is an extra $7,000. So you get the park assist and the trailer docking for the auto assist, but not the full self-driving. Talking about price, everyone is very happy about this. It is starting at $39,900. That's fantastic for a brand new truck like this. Rumor has it before that it was gonna be just under $50,000 and everyone was already going crazy about that. So to have it starting at $39,900 is just gonna make everyone want this just that much more. There will be 3 different trim levels of the Cybertruck. The first one will just round the $39,900 up to $40,000. So the first one, being $40,000, is only going to be rear-wheel drive, have a range of about 250 miles, do 0 to 60 miles per hour in 6.5 seconds, have a top speed of 110 miles per hour, can handle a payload of 3,500 pounds, a tow rating of 7,500 pounds, and will just run off a single motor, hence being rear-wheel drive. From there, the price jumps to $50,000, technically $49,900. That will give you an all-wheel drive system, 300 plus mile range, 4.5 second 0 to 60 time, 120 miles per hour top speed, the same 3,500 payload capacity, a 10,000 pound tow rating, and of course a dual motor setup. The third trim level will jump up a little more, all the way to 70 grand, technically 69,900, and will be an all-wheel drive system once again, except this time it will have a 500 plus mile range, do 0 to 60 in a mind-boggling 2.9 seconds, a 130 mile per hour top speed, the same 3,500 payload capacity, and this time a 14,000 pound tow rating. And last but not least, this one is a tri-motor setup. Now that stuff's all fine and dandy, it's very impressive, but for maybe someone like you and myself who's been watching this truck for quite a while and been waiting for this unveil, you've probably heard a lot of news, and a lot of it has been actually from Elon Musk, including a photo that he released on stage when he was releasing the Semi as well as the Roadster. As you can probably tell, this photo looks nothing like the truck does now, and some of the promises he made have changed as well. For example, he said that the truck was going to be something that you could put another truck in the back of. Now, I think that very quickly he realized that that just isn't possible. For example, how are you going to park it? If you live in a condo building and you have to go underground to park, how on earth are you going to get it under there? And there was probably a million other reasons why they couldn't do that, but there were a few promises that they kept. For example, they said that it was going to be a dual motor setup. One of the options is a dual motor setup. They said it was going to be all-wheel drive. 2 out of the 3 models are all-wheel drive. Rumor had it that it was going to be able to seat 6 people, which it can, and also they said that it was going to be able to do 500 miles on a single charge, which again, they've kept their promise, and the highest end version, the $70,000 one, will be able to do that. And last but not least, rumor had it that it was going to be under $50,000, as I've already mentioned, and it definitely is under $50,000, sitting just around the $40,000 mark. While on stage, Elon mentioned how well trucks sell, and he specifically mentioned the F-150, so I was interested to see how the two compare and contrast. With the 2020 F-150, there will be an option to get a 6-seater version, so in that case, they tie there. If you go with the right configuration for the 2020 F-150, you'll be able to get almost 600 miles out of a single tank of gas. As even the most expensive version of the Cybertruck will only be able to get 500, sadly it loses there. Still very impressive for an electric vehicle though. The price of a 2020 F-150 ranges anywhere from about $28,500 all the way up to about $70,000, while the Tesla Cybertruck will range from $40 to $70, so the F-150 wins once again there. If you decide to go with the Ford Raptor, you can do 0 to 60 miles per hour in 5.3 seconds, obviously blown out of the water by the Tesla Cybertruck at 2.9 seconds. When it comes to the max towing capacity of the Ford F-150, it is 13,200 pounds, and just by a hair, the Tesla Cybertruck beats that at 14,000 pounds. Now, obviously, I don't see an F-150 taking a sledgehammer to the door anytime soon, or a 9mm bullet. If you look at the Tesla Cybertruck, it can. But sadly, if it starts raining bowling balls, neither truck will survive. Elon Musk even said himself,
room for improvement.
Now, something else I was quite fascinated by the unveil was they had a tow battle between an F-150 and the Cybertruck. Obviously on the screen, they didn't do it in front of everybody, but I liked watching that video. I immediately knew the Cybertruck was going to win. It's immediate torque from the electric batteries, so I knew they were going to win. That's not even a question. They wouldn't have played it if they were going to lose, but it was out of this world to see the F-150 back to back with the Cybertruck. They just look like two completely different entities, and the Cybertruck honestly looks like it's from outer space. Now I want to touch on the release date. Officially, there is no release date. There's not a set date in stone where everyone's going to start getting their Tesla Cybertruck. Cybertrucks. But what I was quite interested to see on their website is that you can order one now with only $100, and it is refundable if you wanted your money back, and that production, not the release date, production will start in late 2022. That means that people won't even be getting these until early 2023. That is a long time to wait for one of these trucks. If you read even further, it says specifically that they will start production of the tri-motor models. So that means that if you give them more money, the $70,000, that you'll get yours first. So we don't even have a date for when the dual and single motor variants are going to be produced and released. So I see these being 3, 4, 5 years away. Now, of course, I have to talk about the design. It's very polarizing. I've heard from a lot of people already, and obviously seen online, that they don't know if they love it or if they hate it. Hey Dad, what are your thoughts on the Tesla Cybertruck?
Horrible. I'd rather drive a rusty old Toyota than that.
I mean, all you have to do is go online and you'll see that the internet has shared its opinion already. People are saying that it looks like a Halo Warthog, it's just a low-resolution version of what it's meant to be, that a 4-year-old drew it, that it's just an upscaled toy, etc, etc, etc. And I agree, it's a very alarming, it's a very shocking design, especially when it first came out. But if you look at it from a technological standpoint, it does make sense, because not only is it very aerodynamic and futuristic looking, I mean, I get that they're trying to do something different, but on top of that, this flat design leaves room for solar panels. Elon has confirmed since the show that the rolling bed cover in the back that is supposedly so strong you can stand on it can be sold as a solar panel. Obviously that will make it more expensive, but that is an option that you have. That also makes me think, what else are they going to have on here that is an additional extra that you'd have to pay for? Personally, I think this truck will easily break the $100,000 mark when it comes to max price, especially if they're adding in things like solar panels and self-driving systems that cost $7 grand. At the end of the day, the $40,000 base price is fantastic, but I really don't think that's going to get you very much truck. Now, some people think that the flat design is to save cost, and while that may be true, the main reason is really because if you try and stamp a shape into 30 times cold-rolled stainless steel, you'd break the press. And I also think the Cybertruck is going to be way bigger than you think it is just by looking at a photo of it. I think you really have to see this in person to experience it fully. It almost makes the F-150 in the tug-of-war look small. But moving on to pre-orders, how many people have actually ordered this in the last few days? Now, this is actually one of the reasons I waited much longer than everyone else to make this video, is because I wanted all of the information and I wanted to make sure I had all of the numbers before I put anything out there. That, and because the design was so shocking that I needed some time for it to settle in. But more of that in a second. Just in 5 days after the unveil, the Tesla Cybertruck has over 250,000 pre-orders. Now, if we rewind a little bit to the beginning of the unveil, Elon said that over 1.5 million trucks had been sold in 2019 up to November 21st. That means that it took only 5 days for Tesla to do almost 17% the amount of orders on trucks that it took several other big companies to do over the span of 11 months. And that is with no ads and no paid endorsements. 42% of those sales were for the dual motor setup, 41% were for the tri-motor setup, and 17% were for the single motor setup. But some are saying that the Cybertruck is more of a concept than an actual production vehicle. And the reason for that is the legality of the Tesla Cybertruck. Just to mention a few things that are currently not road legal in America, there are no side mirrors, and while that may be changed eventually, it's not currently legal. There are no windshield wipers, which is more or less just ease of use than law, and I'm really not sure that the single light bar on the front would pass safety regulations. Not only that, but there is an LED bar on the roof, and any lights that are above your headlights on the front of the vehicle have to be covered up when you're on the road. You can have them just like on a normal truck, but there has to be a cover in order for them to be legal. The rims that protrude from the tires are also illegal, and while the stainless steel is technically bulletproof, that means that it's not going to crumple if you get in an accident, and if there's no crumple zone, that means it's not going to pass safety regulations. And lastly, there didn't seem to be any turn signals or third brake light. While I think this unveil was a good opportunity to show us what they're working on, this may not be the final version of the Tesla Cybertruck, especially because of all of the safety regulations and laws that get in the way of this truck being legal. Fun fact, the reason that the unveiling of the Cybertruck happened in November of 2019, specifically November 21st of 2019, which will be a date that I think we're all going to remember for quite a while now, is because the original Blade Runner movie was was actually based in November of 2019. Hence, the people that got out of the truck when it first came on stage are dressed the way that they're dressed. I want to finish off this video by sharing my thoughts. Now, I want to make it clear that I was hesitant about sharing my opinion and my thoughts on this truck because I want you guys to have opinions for yourself. I just want to give you all the information, but I think I owe it to you if you watched this video this far through to just leave you and not give you my personal thoughts on this. When I heard this event was happening, I was so excited. I was ecstatic. I've been waiting for this truck to be unveiled for such a long time. If you know me and you know this channel, I love talking about trucks and I love talking about electric vehicles, so being able to bring them together has been so much fun. I personally love the Rivian R1T, and I've talked about that for a while, but now there's another competitor, and I was really looking forward to this. I really like Elon Musk and what he's doing with Tesla, and this is one of the only pieces of tech this entire year that have had no major leaks. There's been rumors here and there, and the only bit of proper solid information that we've gotten is from Elon Musk on Twitter, where he released this photo. But people couldn't make heads or tails of it. Nobody had any idea what part of the truck this was supposed to be, whether it was going to be the back, the front, part of the roof, who knows. But when it finally came to the final few seconds, the lights turned on, the lasers were everywhere, and the truck moved onto the stage. I was so excited and then immediately crushed and just so disappointed. You should have seen my face. It kind of just looks like an all-wheel drive Egyptian pyramid. But the longer I waited, the more I learned and the more I let it settle in, it really got me thinking, why has this never been done before? From the exoskeleton design to the genius ramp inside of the tailgate to being battery powered and all the rest, I really started to fall for this truck. The pickup truck market is one of the most loyal markets there is. If you like the F-150, you're going to keep buying the F-150. So Tesla had to do something revolutionary and different in order to catch everyone's attention. And at this point, you can't tell me that they failed at that. And I realize now that the whole point of the Tesla Cybertruck is the fact that no one expected it. There were dozens of 3D renders done by individuals who were taking a shot in the dark and showing us what they thought the Tesla Cybertruck was going to look like. And while I think these designs are cool, they aren't going to revolutionize the pickup truck market. Elon Musk knows that you can't please everybody, and he took a big risk revealing this truck, but he knew that he had the numbers on his side. For example, on a Twitter post, Elon said that it is better than the F-150 and faster than the Porsche 911. And on Instagram, Tesla worded it even better, saying that it has better utility than a pickup truck and more performance than a sports car. And they're not wrong, the Cybertruck numbers are phenomenal, and on top of that, they put on a great show. The design has definitely grown on me, and I'm very excited to one day see this truck in person. I won't be putting down my $100 deposit just yet because I want to wait for more information to come out and see what the truck is actually going to look like when it meets all the standards and is in their final production. But what I can say is that Elon Musk and Tesla have raised the bar, and this is going to change the way that trucks are looked at and designed for a very long time. I can't wait to see what else they have up their sleeves. But that's it. That's my opinion on the Tesla Cybertruck, whether it's going to be a 2023 or a 2024 or a 2025. Who knows at this point? My guess is probably 2023. Anyway, thank you very much for watching this video. I love doing these, so if you're new here, feel free to subscribe. Again, once I get to 100,000 subscribers, all of this hair is coming off the top of my head. And of course, most importantly, I want to hear from you guys on what you think about the Tesla Cybertruck. I read every single one of your comments. Throw it down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts and have a conversation about this. Again, my name is Thomas, and thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace. Hey Dad, what are your thoughts on the Tesla Cybertruck?
Horrible. I'd rather drive a rusty old Toyota than that.